Urbana High School's McKinley Field. It's our first soccer broadcast of the year. The Urbana Tigers getting set to take on the crosstown rival Champaign Central Maroons. Hello, everybody. I'm Joey Wright. It's my honor to bring you Urbana Tigers soccer this evening. A beautiful night for soccer. As I said, we're just about set to get kicked off. It's Spirit Week at Urbana High School. Homecoming football tomorrow. Homecoming dance in 2 nights. But first, soccer action live on UTMN. It appears Urbana will start the game off with the ball. Bennett Anderson at midfield, getting set to kick things off for the Urbana Tigers. 40 minutes are on the clock, and we are underway. As we see a quick strike from Urbana as they take the ball into Central territory, as Jason Liggett joins me on the camera. Another member of our crew, Ahmed Evans, should be here shortly. Sam Aaron with the ball. He's going to pass it to Pablo Diaz. And it looks like that's Lateef Bridgewater with the ball. Now it's Bennett Anderson in what would be the Maroon end zone if this was a football game. Hugo Rios Neto to Parente. As the Tigers get set, the Tigers certainly have come out of the gate looking strong. A chance for Bennett Anderson to score. He cannot capitalize, but the Tigers are going to score. No less. That is Demiso Modelo with a rocket into the net, and the Tigers strike first. It's 1-0. Demiso Modelo with a laser into the net. I don't know how to describe that. Just over a minute off the clock, and the Tigers with an early advantage. Now we'll see what the Central offense can do as they control it. Intercepted by Bennett Anderson. And the Maroons get it back. They'll just kick it around a little bit here. Parente came in to challenge. And now the Maroons moving into Tiger territory. Well, you will see what they can do. Looks like Urbana will get possession back, but the ball goes out of bounds, and it will be Maroon ball. Reynaldo Zarco with the ball for Central. He gets tripped. Should still be Central ball. It is indeed. Ball spotted at the 25-yard line for football. Basically the 35 for soccer. Kicked away. Nice kick. Good job by the Urbana defense to stifle that attempt by the Maroons. And here we go. Anderson looking. It's going to go back to Anderson now, but it's intercepted by the Maroons. And the ball is kicked back to Urbana. Out of bounds. And now the Maroons will get another chance. Central does not look terrible when they have the ball, but it'll be a challenge to stop Urbana with how they've started the game out. Urbana has really proven that they can score in a short period of time if you grant them the opportunity to do so. Should be a corner kick for Urbana, and it will indeed be a corner kick. Magnus Parente will kick the ball away. We'll see how they decide to approach it here. Weak kick from Magnus, but should have another corner attempt so he can redeem himself. And another corner kick forthcoming. A solid kick there. More than redemption for the first poor attempt. After the first goal, it appears the Maroons' defense has gotten a little bit better. I mean, you still can't give Urbana many opportunities, but they are trying to prove that that first goal was a fluke of sorts. Whistle is blown. It'll be Central ball, whistle blown again, and I believe they attempted to kick it too early and gain some form of an advantage. And they will try it again. Referees this evening wearing a very nice shade of blue. Contrasts well with the white uniforms of Urbana and the maroon uniforms of Central. On that note, I'm not quite sure what the difference between maroon and burgundy is, but that opens up a whole new can of worms that we will not explore at this time. Should be Urbana's ball. Latif Bridgewater will throw it in. Finds Hugo Rios Neto. And it'll go back to Sam Arend all the way at the Tiger 20, but now it's stolen away by Central, and we'll see what they can do. Good chance for the Maroons to score here. Let's see if they can capitalize. Does not appear that they will be able to. And the Tigers will gain possession, but now the Maroons will gain it back. And it'll be just kicked out of bounds by Urbana. A smart play there to just give them a chance to reset. Roman Miniev with the kick out of bounds, and the Maroons will throw it in. Header by Central, no good. Kicked out of bounds by Urbana, and the Maroons will have a corner kick. On the subject of maroon, if you like that color, tune in tomorrow night. The Danville Vikings wear a similar color, and they will play the Tigers at 7 o'clock. Homecoming football on the Tigers Media Network. That game will be played in... Well, we'll hold that thought. Can the Maroons get on the board? They can. Central will score their first goal of the game. Almost 7 minutes into play. The Maroons tie it up. We're tied at 1. Couldn't catch the number of who scored that exactly, but some players on the Tigers seem a little flustered by it, and I can't blame them. You know, the way they started the game out, they certainly looked to be in the driver's seat, and now they've allowed the Maroons to tie it up. But we'll see. The Tigers can score, you know, as we saw, very quickly. It's very easy for the Tigers to score if they can play their brand of soccer. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Tigers regain the lead in just a matter of moments. 33-15 left in the first half. And Anderson will start it. And the ball goes out of bounds. Throw in here intended for Bennett Anderson. Out of bounds. We'll see if they say it. And they will say that it went out on Central. We'll see another throw-in attempt from Pablo Diaz. Throws it, finds Medella. Kicking it around. Taishiro Wilson had it for a brief time. Gets it back. Bennett Anderson will have a chance, but the Central goalie slides in, fields the ball. Anderson had to jump over him. Fancy play of sorts from the Central keeper. And Sam Arend for Urbana with a solid kick. Central with the header, and Parente will kick it now. Central will kick it, and kicked out of bounds by Sam Arend. On the subject of Centennial, the Central Maroons football team plays Centennial tomorrow night, the annual crosstown rivalry game between those two schools. It should be a good one. You know, both teams, I would say, are on par skill level-wise. I think Central is going to have a slight advantage, but if Centennial was able to come away with the win tomorrow night, I would not be surprised. The biggest challenge for both teams, of course, will be the weather, as I mentioned earlier while I was discussing the Urbana game. It will likely rain tomorrow, fairly substantially, is what I'm being told. Which is always fun to broadcast a game in weather like that. Tigers moving it back into Central territory. Lateef looks like he's going to kick it to Bennett here, and Anderson will have a chance. He's going to kick it back to Bridgewater. Bridgewater attempted to kick it, looked like he fell down, and Central will get a chance to kick it back into Tiger territory. Header by Central. Fancy kick of sorts there from, it looked like, Roman Minyev. And Central will attempt to do something here. Looks like that's Bennett Anderson on the defense. He's a very dynamic player for the Urbana Tigers. Seen him all over the field so far in this one. Tigers have a lot of players like that. And kicked out of bounds, it'll be Central ball. If there's one sport that Urbana really excels at, it is soccer. Tigers soccer program, historically one of, if not the best that we have. On the more academic side of competitions, I'm told we have a very sound chess program. But when it comes to athletics, soccer is really the powerhouse that Urbana can produce pretty consistently. A lot of that has to do with Coach Randy Blackman. The teams that he's built over the past few decades really have been very, very solid. As we await a Central throw in here, not quite sure what the delay is, but it'll just build the suspense even more, I suppose. 30 minutes, 20 seconds left in the first half. And the throw-in from Central will be fielded by Urbana. And we'll see what the Tigers' offense can do. Anderson, a nice pass to Magnus Parente. Parente with the shot. It's going to be a little bit wide left. And we'll see what the Centennial keeper can do as he attempts to throw it back into play. Mentioned at the top of the program, it really is a beautiful evening for soccer. I'm told the high this afternoon was 82. Can't verify that, but it felt about right when I was out for gym class earlier, and it really is a very sound night for any athletic event. Last year we did a soccer game, and I think it was 95 for the first soccer game we did last year. Very hot. We did several girls' soccer games last year. It was very cold, but this is a very nice balance between those two extremes. If I had to speculate, I'd say it's in the 73 to 77 range. Slight breeze. Humidity exists, but it's relatively low, and Central moves the other way. Central with a chance here. It'll be fielded by Urbana. kicked in the air. Header from Central. Central with a good chance. Kicked out of bounds. It'll still be Central ball. My ideal day, I would say, is 72 degrees, between partly and mostly cloudy, probably on the mostly cloudy side of that spectrum. We'll say wind 7 to 11 miles an hour. Little, maybe even less than that, just a slight breeze. Enough to counteract the sunlight that does exist, because I don't want it to be totally overcast. And also, in spite of the clouds, I don't like a lot of humidity. I can tolerate some humidity, but not a lot. So as long as the clouds that are there are benevolent. Urbana's going to kick it wide right. Demiso Medella on the attempt. Couldn't quite capitalize. It was he had a nice angle on it, but he just couldn't quite get it in the net. Not going to make them all, though. Solid attempt from Demiso Medella as the clock continues to run. Ball into Central territory. Sam Arend will kick it back to Central territory. I was wrong earlier. It was in Tiger territory. We will see a shot from the front left corner of what would be the Central end zone. Proves fruitless. And the Central keeper will have a chance to boot it away. Central with a chance, but it'll be Diaz fielding it for the Tigers. Back into Tiger territory. And kicked out of bounds. Solid kick, actually, from a Tiger player. Didn't catch his number. And Central will have a chance, but it'll be fielded by the Urbana keeper, Artem Burnett. Number 18. Burnett, Urbana's keeper, wearing yellow. Peter Wagner, the Central keeper, is wearing blue. And in fact, Peter Wagner, the Central keeper, is rocking a monochrome look of sorts. Blue shirt, blue pants. Burnett, the Tiger keeper, yellow shirt and black pants. Burnett is wearing orange shoes, and Wagner, those look to be either black or blue shoes. I'm not quite sure. From here they look black, so I'm going to go with that. As 24 minutes and 30 seconds remain in the first half. It'll be Magnus Parente with a corner kick for the Tigers. We're knotted up at 1. Good chance for the Tigers to score. Parente kicks it into play, and a header from Urbana didn't quite work. Jonathan Minyampara didn't quite jump high enough. And Wagner will kick it away. 24 seconds left. A solid kick from Wagner. Header from the Maroon player that got there first. Didn't work because Urbana has the ball now. Pablo Diaz gives chase to a ball that will go out of bounds, so he will throw it in. Who's he going to throw it to? Parente is there, as is Anderson. This is going to be a pass way in, and it's headed away by Central. Parente is there, however, as is Anderson. Magnus Parente with the chance, but it'll go out of bounds for an Urbana corner kick. .23 left. 10 seconds remain as well in that 23-minute range. Now a good chance for Central. Anderson, the only Urbana player that could have contended with the Maroon player, number 7, Max Larison, but, however, a whistle is blown. And it appears that it will be Urbana ball. Hugo Rios Nato and Central. Sam Arend heads it into Maroon territory. Worth noting that I have third hour with Magnus Parente and Hugo Rios Nato. AP Biology is that class. First hour, Civil Engineering and Architecture, I have with Bennett Anderson. Logan Flessner is also in that first hour class. He is on the bench right now for the Tigers. We may or may not see him later on. Latif, I occasionally see him in the hallways. Noah Dobson, not on the field right now for the Tigers, was in my Algebra 2 class last year. And to round things out, I am in gym with Sam Arend. He's in study hall right now due to soccer season. I'm also in a group chat with him on Instagram. Should be Urbana ball. It went out of bounds on Central. Thrown in. Kicked way up in the air and out of bounds. And that ball will land in the grass somewhere. That's Medella with a chance. Demiso, can he score? Oh, that was really close. Play's not over, but now it is as it goes out of bounds. Demiso Medella had a real chance to score his second goal of the game right there. Couldn't quite capitalize. Kept in bounds by Central. Parente to Anderson. Back to Parente. Rios Nato is there. Now it is Pablo Diaz with the ball, and here goes Central. Turnover by Urbana. And that'll be a handball against the Maroons, it appears. Number 9, Junior Kaji, was there. And they will call a handball, I believe, against the Maroons. Out of bounds on Urbana, it'll be Central ball. As I mentioned earlier, homecoming week in Urbana at Urbana High School. One more day to go of homecoming week. Tomorrow, the pep assembly, the homecoming parade, tailgate, and the homecoming football game against Danville, all part of what is one of my favorite days of the year. Pep assembly should be pretty fun. More on that later as the Tigers have a chance to score. Rios Nato will gain possession of the ball, sets up Anderson. Can he get it? No, he can't. But it's Medella. Demiso Medella can't score. Logan Flessner's in the game. He can't hold on to the ball, and Central will have a chance. Indeed they will, as the ball gets past all the Urbana defenders to this point. And they do a good job of keeping it in bounds there. Central looks really good on this possession. Can they finish it? They're getting close, but it's going to be kicked away by Urbana. Jonathan Miniampara there to set the Maroons back a little bit. Can they get it back? We'll see. Ooh, a fancy play there from Pablo Diaz. Anderson lost it. Can he get it back? Not easily. Parente is there. No, that's Logan Flessner. My apologies. And kicked out of bounds. It'll be Tiger ball. Homecoming pep assembly my freshman year, I partook in a sack race in front of the whole school as part of annual games that they play each year, but between the classes. I ran well for most of the race, but then at the end I fell down in front of the whole school. Out of bounds, it should be Tiger ball. It was at the very end, though, so I was able to kind of disguise it like I was just diving towards the finish line. Made it look graceful, I can tell you that. Here's Central. Sam Aaron for Urbana touched it. No, he didn't touch it last. It'll be Tiger ball. They will say that. Last win out on Central's number 9, Junior Kaji. Aaron out to Anderson, yes. Up to Logan Flessner, but it's out of bounds. Central ball. Past the pep assembly, the homecoming parade, always a staple of most schools' homecoming festivities. Urbana High School homecoming parade, always one to watch. Then tailgate, come out and support Tigers clubs and athletic squads and such. Purchase whatever they're selling tomorrow. Tailgate's always pretty fun. And cap it all off, Joy and myself, Miller Calhoun and the gang, as we cover the Urbana Tigers homecoming football game against Danville. Myself and Miller Calhoun, I should say. I'm not Miller. Central with a chance, a good chance that they couldn't capitalize on. But it should be fun. James Trask, if you watched any of the games last year, he did some commentary with us. He should swing by the broadcast area. I can't quite call it a booth because we stand atop the press box, but he should swing by, provide his insights on at least a portion of the game. We'll see how that goes. And Miller Calhoun should provide his insights the rest of the game. Talk more about that game later on the topic of the game that we're watching right now. It's been a pretty even contest so far. No team has a distinct advantage. High kick from Central. No one can field it immediately, and now Central will gain control. Solid kick. Sam Aaron. Not Sam Aaron, excuse me, that was Roman Minyev there to attempt a header as that goes into the vacant bleachers. And Urbana will throw it in. Central ball. We'll see what they can do here. They've had some opportunities that they just haven't been able to quite capitalize on. And you could say that for Urbana, too. It's been a... Well, hold that thought. Demiso Medella, he scored earlier. What can he do here? Nice move. Blocked by a Central defender. It's Flessner who gets it back. Maroon player kicks it, falls down, kicks it again to Hugo Rios Neto. To Parente. Stolen by Central. Parente to, it's Pablo Diaz. Diaz passes it forward to Flessner. We'll see. And an errant kick will provide the Central keeper with a chance to boot it away. Got to give a shout out to the Urbana Park District Kickball Adult Co-ed League. They should be in action right now. I work as an official for them usually, obviously not tonight, but I'm going to wish the other officials luck. Not that they'll need it, of course. They're all very solid at their jobs, and the teams really do make it easy to officiate those games. Lots of camaraderie and good-natured competition you'll find with any Urbana Park District League. Always a fun time to compete or ref or even, just go watch those games. The watching, that's not something you might do very often, but if you ever get a chance, I would recommend it. This will be kicked out of bounds, and Central will boot it away. Looking at the Tigers' most recent game prior to this one, they played Normal Community on Tuesday night. I believe they were down early. Normal Community, a very good team when it comes to soccer, but the Tigers fought back, were able to force a 3-3 tie, or I believe, as they say in soccer, a draw. Kicked out of bounds by Central. Urbana ball. Substitution was made for the Tigers. Jose Ambrosio came in. As did Which one do you need?
Both teams. I'm a recruiter for Barton. Gotcha. I mean, can I keep it? Why don't you give them those?
Gotcha. And I've returned. Here's Pablo Diaz with a chance to score. Not quite. Demiso Medella. Fans reminding the players that there are over 10 minutes left in the half. And we'll trade some possessions. Rios Nato to, it was to Pablo Diaz, and then back to him, and then out of bounds. Here's Hugo. We'll see what he can do. Parente back to Rios Nato, and a shot on goal is just wide to the left. A solid opportunity to score. Well, it wasn't even an opportunity to score. It was just an opportunity created by Hugo Rios Nato. Just wide to the left, but you can't really blame him for that. And a 62-yard kick from the, well, not quite a 62-yard kick. Give him about 57 yards on that one from Peter Wagner. What Hugo did on that most recent shot was, it can be related back to a solid mentality to live life by. If there's no opportunity there for you, you've got to create it sometimes. You've really got it. You got to be a go-getter. Didn't quite pay off for him that time, but I guarantee you, more often than not, creating your own opportunities will at least help you earn back your initial investment of sorts. Benedict Anderson hopping around to Ambrosio. Out of bounds on, it looked like Central there. We'll see if they agree with me. They will. Out of bounds on number 11, Daniel Geiger for the Maroons. Here's Hugo again to Anderson. Back to Hugo, but it's kicked away. Will it roll out of bounds? Not quite. Lateef Bridgewater giving chase. It'll be Urbana ball. Ahmed will not be able to make it this evening. 8 minutes left in the first half. And kicked away by the Maroons. Pablo Diaz to Jonathan Minyampara. And we'll see what Urbana can do to Anderson. The Tigers proved on their first possession of the game that they can score pretty quickly, so I'm not, they might score here. To Diaz, can he get it? No, oh, he can! Pablo Diaz with the goal. Goal Urbana. I didn't think that was going to go in. I thought there were more than a few defenders for Central impeding the ball's progress, but he managed to. How did he do that? That was amazing. That defied physics. That was pretty cool. Didn't quite defy physics. I'm not going to go that far with it, but that was like the perfect blend of power and accuracy. And the Tigers, they can score quickly. And they lead by 1. Now we'll see how the Maroons answered back. They answered back last time. So we'll see. Hugo up to Demiso Medella. Medella up to Lateef Bridgewater. Good kick from Lateef, but it goes a little wide to the right. The accuracy wasn't quite there. Well kicked ball. And the Maroons will take over. As the Central keeper, Peter Wagner, boots it away. I always equate soccer, it's like the NASCAR of sports played with a ball. And that's not a derogatory term. I say that as a compliment. Always a lot going on the pitch. I'm a big NASCAR. Well, we'll hold whatever I'm saying for a little while. Here's Pablo Diaz. Urbana's going to get a chance. Wagner with the save. Whistle was blown, but it appears it will be Maroons' ball. A lot going on at one time on a soccer game. A lot of people don't realize that, but it's just as you'd see during a NASCAR race. A lot going on, a lot of action. You've just got to know where to find it. Aaron with a solid header to Bennett Anderson. Now to Magnus Parente. And up the field. Out of bounds on Urbana. And they do, in fact, make that call. But basically, soccer and NASCAR are both pretty cool to watch. That's ultimately where I was heading with that. If you want, that could be like a pun. That's where I was heading with that. It's a soccer term. But we'll move on. The Maroons will turn it over to Urbana. Diaz up pitch. We will see. Kept in bounds, but with 4:35 to go in the first half of play, the Maroons will kick it away. Solid punt, or kick here, excuse me. Oh, a good chance here for Urbana. And a nice save from Wagner. Can the Tigers score? No! Two great saves from Peter Wagner. That was nice on the part of Peter Wagner. He interrupted the shot from Pablo Diaz and then interrupted the second shot from Pablo Diaz. That was nice. There's a recruiter from Parkland College here this evening, and I'm sure he took note of that. Out of bounds. Wagner will kick it away. If I wasn't holding this clipboard, I would have applauded him for that. Got to give him the credit he deserves. Some people like to snap instead of clapping when they're giving praise to an individual, but I've always been a weak snapper myself. I much prefer to clap or just audibly voice my congratulations or whatever word you'd like to plug in there. Never been much of a snapper. 2:50 to go in the half. Into Tiger territory. We'll see what the Maroons can do. The lead for the Tigers 2-1. Central with a chance to tie it up, but Tigers will get it back. It's a small lead for Urbana. Hold on. Ooh. Player down for Urbana. It is Pablo Diaz. Looks to be shaken up. He had a good chance to score. Peter Wagner came way up. Farther up than I think I would have played as a goalie. He got in there, interrupted the path of the ball. The ball then ricocheted a little bit. I don't, in the heat of the moment, it was hard to tell. Did it hit Pablo Diaz? I'm not entirely sure. Something, however, appears to have injured him, and I won't speculate as to what the injury is. Trainer from Carl Hospital has made her way out to tend to Pablo, and it looks like Urbana coach Randy Blackman is making his way out to where he's laying at about the 5-yard line for football. Blackman now walks away. 2:02 left in the first half. Diaz is now sat up off camera. Now he's going to get up. Fans clap as Pablo Diaz gets up, walks away. We pan over. You see Coach Blackman, he was talking with an official as the trainer was attending to Pablo Diaz. Obviously, I have no idea what that discussion was related to. Diaz will make his way to the sidelines, as will Diaz and, the Carl trainer and Coach Randy Blackman. 2 minutes, 2 seconds left in the first half. To take another look at that play, from what I recall, it was Diaz was charging hard into the goal area, and Peter Wagner came up, nearly made he did make a solid save, and things happened very quickly. And we're back to action. Kicked out of bounds by Sam Aaron. Minute and a half left. It looks like the Tigers will maintain a lead going into the half. I think the Maroons have a chance for maybe another shot, but we'll see. Tigers scored in about 64 seconds at the start of the game. Minute 10 left. Not quite sure what the discussion was between Coach Blackman and the referee during that slight intermission. I have no follow-up to that speculation. And the Tigers with a charge. Medella. And it'll still be Tiger ball. 30 seconds left. Can they score before the half and pad their lead a little bit? Perhaps put some insulation on the walls of the figurative house that represents their lead. Or can Central tear the house down? They'll have a chance. A nice save from Artem Burnett. And he'll throw it to Hugo, and now to Bennett. 2 seconds left, one, and the half is over. So we'll go to the second half. In just about 10 minutes, the score, Tigers 2, Maroons 1. We will join you back in about 9.5 minutes, and we'll take a look at the second half of play. Tigers 2, Maroons 1. Back just in time for the second half. Urbana Tigers Soccer live on the Tigers Media Network. I'm Joey Wright. The Tigers lead 2-1 as we get set for the second half of play. Central will start with the ball. As we await them to kick things off. And we are underway. A booming kick from a Maroon player. And Sam Aaron will field it. The teams, of course, have switched sides. Tigers going the opposite way, as are the Maroons, to which they went last half. Interesting thing about the PEP assembly every year, you get to find out who the representatives, saved by the Central keeper Peter Wagner. You get to find out who the representatives are for homecoming court. I always say I don't want to be on the ballot for that homecoming court stuff. But then every year when I'm not on it, I feel a little dejected. So it's like, there's got to be a better balance. Ultimately, though, I'm glad that I am not on the ballot. Those who do represent their classes in homecoming in the homecoming parade this year. Just a rumor I heard. I heard that they replaced the Corvettes with Jeeps for this year's parade. That rumor may be totally unfounded. I don't even remember who told me that. But I have to tell you, I didn't own a Jeep, but my parents owned a Jeep for a number of years when I was little. I'm sure when it was new, it was a great car. It got a little outdated by the time we got rid of it, but I have fond memories of that green Jeep. We replaced it with a black... Oh! Rocket from Urbana ricocheted off a Central player, but they keep going. We replaced that Jeep with a black Nissan Versa, 2010 Nissan Versa that we replaced 2 years later with a blue 2012 Nissan Versa. And Maroon player falls down, number 9, Junior Kaji. That should be a handball, but it's not. Whistle's blown, however. I think there's some confusion on the pitch. Not entirely sure what the call is, but it will be Central ball. So it was not a handball. I believe they're going to say the ball played him, not the other way around. Pretty good crowd on tap here at McKinley Field, if you look to our right at least. But a pretty good number of people to our right and beneath us. It is a good crowd for a soccer game here. Fans certainly love to come out and support their Urbana Tigers, especially a crosstown rivalry game such as this one. You've got a nice contingent from Central. It is a good atmosphere here at McKinley Field. This is a rare soccer game played on the big field, Blackman Field. The soccer field is right behind us. Remains idle this evening. The football team practiced there earlier. And we're back underway. We'll talk more about the football team later on. I'll preview their game tomorrow night just a little bit. Or maybe more than a little bit if time provides. Central will kick it back to their keeper, and their keeper will kick it back to the other side of the field. On the subject of the football game, I'll just go ahead and preview it a little bit right now. The Tigers are coming off a rough loss against Peoria Central High School. 79-0 was the score of that contest. So, rough is a word that you could use. But, you know, I mean, losses like that will happen from time to time. You've just got to keep your head up and keep on chugging. Out of bounds, into the stands, and now back out of the stands. I do think the Tigers have a chance tomorrow. Now, I mean, granted, it might not be the highest chance in the world, but if you talk to Coach Watson, he's feeling all right. He compared Danville to Centennial when I spoke with him yesterday, which is not a bad analogy. They beat a Central team that's worse than they were last year. Much worse, I guess you could say. Not much worse. Backtrack on that. But they are not the same team that they were last year. They beat a Kankakee team that he told me was kind of middle of the road. And I'm not quite sure who they defeated last week. But, you know, I mean, the thing that got Urbana against Centennial 2 weeks ago, we'll go to that game because I think it's a little easier to draw analysis from than last Friday's game. Their offensive line struggled. Demiso Medella lost the ball. Central will go, and Demiso Medella, it'll be Central ball. The offensive line for the Tigers really did a poor job 2 weeks ago against Centennial. They did a pretty bad job last week as well. But that is, in my opinion, really the only weak spot of the Tigers team. You look at their skill positions, very solid. Tyler Kybers is done his best behind that offensive line, as has Jamin Carter. Receivers dropped a good deal of passes last Friday. They did all right 2 weeks ago. So, I mean, if the offensive line can give Tyler Kybers some time in the pocket tomorrow, maybe even let him scramble a little bit, and Alonzo Davis can lead the receiving charge, they do have a chance. I mean, your offensive line does better. Your offensive drives are longer. Your defense has more time to rest. They'll do better. Just all around, their offensive line needs to perform tomorrow night. Magnus Parente was kicking it, and he fell down. There were a lot of bad snaps the last week against Peoria, too, I guess, but out of bounds, or not, well, out of bounds because it was wide right. Tigers, I'm sure, would like to get another insurance score here, but we'll see how that pans out. But when I do criticize the Tigers' offensive line, it's a fact. Not quite sure where to go from there, but I'm sure they'll improve in time. Defensively, skill position. The Tigers are a good team. They can mount a charge and get to the playoffs, I think. They've just got to get that offensive line behind them. And to their credit, it's not all their fault. I mean, a lot of them play defense and whatnot. It's tough. I get it. I've never been an offensive lineman. I certainly couldn't do a better job than what they're doing, but we'll see. Next week, the Tigers football team plays Peoria Notre Dame at home. Shot on goal, no good from Bennett Anderson. Wide a little bit left. Full moon tonight. And a whistle's blown. .40 left to go. Tigers with a free kick of sorts. Tamiso Medella will boot it away, it looks like. Pablo Diaz is back on the field, by the way. We saw him with that injury scare earlier. Looks like he just got the wind knocked out of him or something, and certainly a powerful kick from Tamiso Medella, but it sailed way over the goal. And Tigers deep in their own territory here. We'll see what they do. Oh, Maroons have a chance. Look out. Central. Shot on goal. It's well played by Artem Burnett. Whistle is blown. A solid play from Artem Burnett. And kicked away. I was just thinking, speaking of offensive lines, best offensive line, one of the best offensive lines in college football, belongs to my Arkansas Razorbacks. A solid win for them against TCU last weekend as their quest for the national championship rolls on. The Razorbacks this year are that wild card team that no one really sees. They're the dark horse. I mean, they can really They're going to rival the Alabamas and LSUs of the Southeastern Conference. It's going to be a fun year in Fayetteville. Brett Bielema's their coach. I want to criticize him quite a bit, but he's been winning games this year. He's won 2 in a row, of course. Shot on goal, blocked by Burnett. And Noah Dobson, kept it in bounds. Lateef Bridgewater to Bendon Anderson. Anderson with a nice play. Bendon Anderson, can he score? Passes it to, I believe that was Medella, and it's off the post. I think that was Demiso Medella. It is. Yeah, he just had an open shot and clanked it off the post. That happens from time to time. I recollect a similar play that really contributed to the plot of The Mighty Ducks. 90s movie centered around hockey. Obviously, hockey and soccer are not the same, but the premise of scoring the puck or ball into a net is similar. Was that central to the plot of The Mighty Ducks or the sequel, D2? I'm not quite sure. I think it was the first one. Well, we'll clarify it later. I've seen all 3 of the Mighty Ducks movies. They're solid. Solid films. Watched them when I was younger. I believe there was like an animated one as well, and all sorts of shenanigans going on in that franchise. The Los Angeles Mighty Ducks, or Anaheim Mighty Ducks, or something. That name spawned from the film franchise. Chance for Urbana. Goal! Pablo Diaz, he was hurt earlier. He comes back into the game and scores himself a goal, and the Tigers lead by 2. Good job by Pablo Diaz to persevere through whatever he was dealing with earlier. I'm not, again, sure what the injury was, but he did a good job there. Not the flashiest of goals, but he got it done. 27-21 left on the clock. Tigers lead padded now by that extra goal. Would take a whale of a comeback for the Maroons to tie it up. But anything can happen in this great pastime that is enjoyed by most of the world, including America. Soccer, a growing sport within our 48 continental states, and Hawaii and Alaska as well as our many territories. Commonwealths such as Puerto Rico. There was a player down for Central. My apologies. Junior Kaji went down with an injury. He had a chance to score, and I believe he got tripped up and limps off the field. It doesn't appear to be overly serious, but we will keep him in our thoughts as he comes off with an injury. Good punt from Artem Burnett. Maroons with a chance. They're threatening here. But Burnett will throw it away. Or kick it away. Punt it away. There we go. And a punt that travels a good number of yards. Fantasy football heating up across America. I'm the commissioner of my own fantasy football league. Got a few friends that I play fantasy football with. I'm confident that my team can break the single-season record for wins in a season. And I say that because any team that beats me, I will delete. I'm not messing around this year in fantasy. My team's name is the Dak Attack, in honor of Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott. Sam Aaron is on the field. He is also in that league. His team, I believe, is Tony Romo-licious. Odd name. He's a Giants fan, he says, but... Bennett Anderson goal, Urbana. Not Bennett, excuse me. That was Pablo Diaz. A spectator said Bennett, and it threw me off. Was that even Pablo? It was Pablo Diaz, his second goal of the half. So Pablo is obviously not hurt. That might have been Hugo Rios Neto. Looked up and the number was obstructed from the player running away. In any case, a solid goal for Urbana pads their lead even more. They're up by 3 with 24 minutes, 28 seconds left. The Maroons will have to score once every 8 minutes and 7 seconds. Yes. Well, 8 minutes and 7 seconds, hold on here. It's not exactly 8 minutes and 7 seconds. That's about what it equates to. You could say 8 minutes and 9 seconds, I guess, because 27 divided by 3 is 9. Yes, and I'm not... I know what I'm talking... I just don't know how to explain it. But in any case, just say Maroons have to score once every 8 minutes to come back into this one. Not exactly that, but that's just proof that when I try to utilize math on a broadcast, it's not going to be a successful endeavor for me. In my head, all of the math I do is correct, but my grades certainly don't reflect that thought process. Out of bounds. I'll tell you what thought process is correct, that the Urbana Tigers will pull out a W tomorrow night against Danville. And again, that game, 7 o'clock live on our network, the Urbana Tigers Media Network, powered by Urbana Public Television and the NFHS Network. And Central will have a chance. Nice save by Burnett. High punt. And one that will go 40-plus yards. Pablo Diaz up. Bennett Anderson, the Tigers player that would retrieve that. And fielded by Wagner. The Maroons are managed by Nathan Clark. I'm a manager myself. I've got to give a shout-out to Central's manager, Nathan Clark. Urbana, managed by Martha Hernandez and Laisha Gano. Not entirely sure how to pronounce Laisha's last name. She's in journalism, so I guess I could ask her tomorrow. Although, how do you pronounce your last name isn't the best of the conversation starters. So, I don't think I'll ask that question. Oh, I can't take a good picture. I just...
It's a pretty rough one.
Yeah. I can't,
Out there anyway.
yeah. Oh. 21 minutes and 20 seconds left in the game. And a good punt from Burnett. I got to say, I am excited for this game to end, and I'm really not too excited about any of the homecoming festivities for tomorrow because I am the proud owner of a brand new video game, NASCAR Heat Evolution. If it was up to me, I'd devote all my time to playing that game. Not necessarily because it's a good game, but because I spent $65 on it, and I'm going to get my money's worth over the next year until a new one comes out. I don't like to open up the old wallet, but when I do, I try to make the best purchases that I can. A corner kick from Urbana, no good. Madden 17, also a game that I own and play pretty frequently. Don't think I'll get the new NBA game, NBA 2K17, for a few months. I'll likely hold off until Christmas until I purchase that title. But I will say that it is perhaps one of the best 2K titles in years from what I've seen. Kick from Central through the uprights. That doesn't get you any points in soccer, though, and Burnett will kick it away. Certainly anyone who does elect to spend their money on 2K17 when it comes out, I believe it comes out tomorrow, actually. I can't fault them for that. NHL 17, I believe, comes out at some point soon. Maybe it's already out. I'm lower key about it, but I do enjoy a quality game of hockey. My Dallas Stars were a very good team last year. Behind people like Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin. That proves I'm not a extreme viewer of hockey because I don't know how to pronounce the star player of my favorite team's name. I have some ideas. I mean, there are a few different, I don't know. No, Dobson will throw it in for Urbana. And the Tigers have made some subs. Dylan Patel is in the game. Derek Peterson is in the game. No, Dobson didn't play last half, but he's in the game. The Urbana Farmers Market this Saturday. I try to give the Farmers Market a shout out on every broadcast that I can fit it into. And by fit it into, I just mean name drop because it has absolutely nothing to do with what I've been talking about or the game that's playing out in front of our eyes. But the Farmers Market, a very fun event to go to for residents of Urbana or residents of Champaign or surrounding communities, Rantoul, Mahomet, Savoy, St. Joe. And a nice job by Noah Dobson to force the Maroons to change battle tactics for now. Quick recap of Spirit Week at Urbana High School Monday night. Powder Puff game. The juniors with an upset win over the seniors, 7-0. The last 5 minutes of that game were very entertaining to watch. I do not regret going to that game. I was the public address announcer. I, of course, am a junior, so that was a fun one to watch. Best Powder Puff game in years. chance for Demiso Medella, and a beautiful goal for Medella. How did he do that? He just floated it over the Maroon players' head, and the Tigers with a 4-goal lead. It appears the JV team, JV football team, is back from their game. See some players walking around over towards the exit of McKinley, the entrance and exit of McKinley Field. And the whistle's blown. We're back underway. Maroons aren't out of it. I mean, you know, there's a lot of soccer left to be played. But they're down 4 goals, and they'd have to score once every 4 minutes, approximately, to tie it up. And if they did that, I believe Coach Blackman and the whole team and myself and everyone would be pretty dejected. I'm not a guy who likes to lose, so I'm glad we're winning. I'm the only person I know that has been ejected from a PE softball game. That happened freshman year. It's not something to be proud of, but it's a good anecdote, so I share it from time to time. For me, the letters PE stand for always give 100%. I'm not in PE to lose, I'll tell you that. Give 110% for that matter, as the ball goes out of bounds. An example of me not liking to lose, I on NBA 2K16, I played one of my friends 4 or 5 times a week for, say, 6 months, and I didn't win a game for 6 months against him, but I kept trying, and eventually I won a game, and I think I've maybe won 1 game since then. So 1 win in 9 months isn't great, but you just got to keep fighting. I mean, the losing will end eventually. But you won't stop losing if you stop trying. That's life. Won't stop losing. I think that made sense. Speaking of losing, the St. Louis Cardinals basically out of playoff contention, and I'm very happy about that. There's a baseball reference. Ooh, Burnett with that was a risky call from Artem Burnett to come out and play that, but it paid off. And it'll be Central ball. I like the fight I'm seeing from Central, though. I'll give them credit. They're not giving up. They're out there competing. That's what you like to see. 5-1 the score right now. The Tigers beat the Centennial Chargers in soccer 5-1 1 week ago. Today, I believe. Last Thursday. Rainy day. Field conditions, from what I heard about that game, were kind of iffy. But the Tigers battled hard, pulled out a win. And one thing that Central does have working for them, it's a full moon night. So, you know, anything can happen. And the Maroons throw it in. Tigers are just running out the clock, it looks like. If they have a chance to score, I don't think they'll pass it up, but I also think that they're, for the most part, just not going to run up the score. They're just going to end the game. 11 and a half minutes to do so. Beautiful night at McKinley Field, Urbana, Illinois. At this point, I'm just enjoying the weather because on tomorrow night's broadcast, I'm not going to be enjoying the weather. From what everyone's telling me, the weather tomorrow is going to be comparable to the 2014 game, the home opening football game against Morton. First broadcast I ever took part in. That game didn't end until like 12:45 in the morning. It didn't start till like 10:30. Oh, it was one for the ages. I believe the Tigers lost it on a late fumble, but I had left by that point. Tigers looking to snap their home winning streak tomorrow against Danville for football. Their last home win, I believe, October of 2013. Now, but if you look at the trends, that win was on homecoming night, I believe, against Decatur Eisenhower. 52-20 was the score in favor of the Tigers. And I haven't quite looked at the statistics, but on tomorrow night's broadcast, I'll have a comprehensive breakdown on how the Tigers have fared in games played in Week 4 since 2009 or so. So that'll be fun. Always fun to do commentary with Miller Calhoun. As there's some action on the field here. I always like to say that Miller balances things out because you've got me and then you've got someone who knows what they're talking about. Now that, of course, is a joke at my expense. More often than not, I know what I'm talking about. So, if not, I usually disguise it well. But Miller, in all honesty, great color commentator. Marcus Washington should help out tomorrow in some capacity. He's very good at what he does. It should be a fun night of football tomorrow night. I really am happy, optimistic, I should say, about how tomorrow night's looking. 8:40 left in the game. Look ahead at the Tigers football schedule. I think Peoria Notre Dame is next week, then Central, then Bradley Bourbonnais, and I'm iffy on who comes after Bourbonnais, but I know we wrap up the season at Manual. So, I, of course, will double check before tomorrow night rolls around. Maroons advancing the ball. I mean, they might get one goal across, maybe two before the game ends. Logan Flessner there to play defense for the Tigers. Since I'm talking about football a lot, I should point out Logan Flessner used to be a quarterback in the Tigers football program. He has since transitioned to soccer full-time. Nakai Smith on the JV soccer team listed as a kicker for the Urbana Tigers football team. We'll see if we see him in action tomorrow night. Jamin Carter, running back, handles the kickoffs for the Tigers. And Malcolm Thompson, a wide receiver, very good at punts for the Urbana Tigers. Looking ahead to basketball, Ariel Scott and Chris Menig, two names to watch out for on the girls' side of the basketball program this year. Of course, on the guys' side, it's all Verdell Jones, the new head coach for the Tigers, godfather of Sean Livingston, from the Peoria area. I believe he was with Central last year. So we'll see. I think the basketball programs for us will really be improved over where they were last year. The girls' team showed marked improvement last year, so you factor in a coach such as Chris Menig and a transfer such as Ariel Scott. It'll be a fun year for the girls' side. Of course, on the boys' basketball side of things, I really enjoyed managing and commentating in the Vashon Russell tenure, but Verdell Jones, the new coach, sometimes a change is needed. And I think that now's a good time to bring in Coach Jones. I have faith that he will do a great job. And that'll be fun to watch come late November, early and late December, and of course from then on. Volleyball, the Tigers volleyball team has been going through a bit of a rough patch lately. I have confidence that they'll get out of it. They have a lot of potential. First volleyball broadcast on the 27th. So that'll be fun. Volleyball is a fun sport to watch, as of course are all the sports that we cover. And here goes Central. On the Joey Wright side of things, personal project I'm looking to start relatively shortly. I'd like to film my day-to-day activities with the camera. What goes on in my life 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So basically I'd film everything I do for a week. Kind of a documentary style deal. Not quite sure when I will do that, but that's a personal project I'm looking to get kicked off shortly. My podcast, I'm trying to get that off the ground. Joey Unchained. I'm not quite sure when I'll have time for that, but that will be fun. Back on the game, 33 minutes and 40 seconds left to go. And the Tigers just looking to run down as much clock as they can. Shelbert Nance is on the field for the Tigers. He actually commentated a girls' soccer game with me last year and managed basketball with me. Great guy is Shelbert Nance, number 30. He's on the homecoming court ballot for the senior class. Will he be the 2016 homecoming king? I voted for him. I'll openly say that. I actually didn't vote. I just told my friend to vote for him because I didn't feel like filling out a Scantron. But Shelbert Nance is certainly one to watch tomorrow. Some other subs on the field. Jacob Arend. Sam Whitesell. Nakai Smith. I believe one more. No, just some other subs that have been in for a while. Oh, Shelbert's out there getting after it. .2:10 left to go in the game. I'd like to send my condolences to whoever I play in fantasy this week. And 1:35 left in the game. Evasive maneuvers taken by Omar Gomez. And the Maroons will just kick it around. They're not really looking to score, it doesn't look like. They'll try to advance the ball, but in the end, it's pretty much clinched for the Tigers. A 5-1 victory will most likely be the outcome. So we are under 50 seconds left in regulation. So at this, the Tigers will have victories against both crosstown rivals, Centennial and Central, in a week's span. If you're Coach Randy Blackman, you've got to be pretty content with that. Tigers will advance to 7-3-1, and the Maroons will go to 8-5. And that almost came to the press box. That kick. 8 wins for the Tigers. This will snap the Maroons' 5-game winning streak. That's a first. I don't know if a ball has ever come that close to onto the press box. I almost said concession stand for some reason. But the game is over. The Tigers will win 5-1. Applause from everyone here at McKinley Field. And we applaud you, the viewers at home, for joining us on the Tigers Media Network for this one. Final score 5-1. Tune in tomorrow at 7 o'clock as the Tigers will battle the Danville Vikings. Homecoming football on the Tigers Media Network. Until then, I am Joey Wright. That's all for right now.